What if I told you the life you're living right now isn't fully yours? Not really. What if the job you have, the relationships you attract, the money you struggle with, or the dreams you've let go of were not chosen by your conscious thoughts, but by something much deeper, quieter, and more powerful than you ever imagined? That hidden force is your subconscious mind, and it has been writing the script of your life long before you were old enough to know what a script even was. This isn't a metaphor. It's not just a poetic idea. The subconscious mind is a real, measurable, and shockingly influential part of your brain. It controls up to 95% of your daily life. Every thought you think, every habit you repeat, every emotion you feel, and every fear that creeps in when you're alone in the dark often comes from that hidden realm inside you. The subconscious is like the captain of a ship sailing through fog. You, the conscious mind, think you're steering. But in truth, you're only giving suggestions. The one actually holding the wheel is the subconscious. And it's been trained, conditioned, and shaped by every experience you've had since you were born. Your childhood, your caregivers, the things they said, the beliefs they carried, the fears they transferred, the traumas you never asked for. All of it lives inside the deepest layers of your subconscious. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Until you understand it, your subconscious will quietly repeat your past as your future. But here's the breakthrough. The same subconscious that has kept you stuck can also be reprogrammed. Just like updating an old operating system, you can install new beliefs, create new emotional patterns, and start living a new version of your life. A version designed by intention, not inherited from pain. This video is not entertainment. This is transformation. And it won't be shallow or fast. This is a 2-hour deep dive into the inner mechanics of your mind. We're going into the science, the stories, the tools, the forgotten truths, and the proven methods that allow you to take back control. So before we begin, I invite you to make your first conscious move. If this speaks to you, if something inside you is already whispering, "I need this," then don't just subscribe. Make it a ritual. Let your finger pressing that button be the first symbolic act of claiming your power back. This channel is not about chasing trends. It's about awakening minds. And if you're still here, listening, feeling a shift already happening within you, then you're one of us. Now close the other tabs. Silence the noise around you. Take a deep breath. And prepare to see your own mind from the inside out. Because once you learn how your subconscious works, you'll never see yourself the same way again. Let the journey begin. Chapter 1. The iceberg inside you. What is the subconscious? Most people live their entire lives at the surface. They wake up, repeat the same thoughts, follow the same habits, make the same decisions, and feel the same emotions as yesterday. They think they are choosing these things, but they're not. They're simply following a script that was written years ago, deep inside a place most never explore. That place is the subconscious mind. If the mind were an iceberg, you're conscious. Thoughts would be the tiny tip floating above the water. What you can see, what you're aware of, what you used to think, plan, and decide. That's the conscious mind. But the far larger mass, hidden beneath the surface, is your subconscious. It's invisible, yet it holds far more power than the part. You see, this is where your beliefs live. Not the ones you talk about, but the ones you act from. It's where your self-image hides. It's where your emotional triggers are buried. It's where your habits are stored. It's where your identity is formed. It is the master database of everything you've ever experienced, felt, feared, or believed. And it controls nearly all of your behavior. Scientists and psychologists estimate that up to 95% of what you think, feel, and do in a day comes from the subconscious. That means the decisions you believe you're making consciously are often just automatic reactions from past programming. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you're walking into a room full of strangers. You suddenly feel shy, unsure, maybe even anxious. Your conscious mind says, "Be confident," but your body doesn't listen. That's not your fault. That's your subconscious running a program that was written long ago. Maybe from childhood. Maybe from rejection. Maybe from a moment you barely remember or think about how you brush your teeth. You don't really think about it. You just do it. That's the subconscious. Or how you drive to work, taking turns and stopping at lights while your mind wanders elsewhere. That's the subconscious handling complex behavior automatically. It's efficient, but it also means you're running on autopilot most of the time. Now, imagine this same system is also controlling how much money you believe you deserve, how much love you allow yourself to receive, and how much risk you're willing to take before your fear pulls you back. That's the real impact. Not just in habits, but in your entire life path. We were all programmed without permission. When you were a child, especially between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain was in a highly absorbent state. You were in what's called theta brainwaves most of the time. This is a hypnotic state. You absorbed everything: words, energy, emotions, body language, even silence. Your subconscious was wide open, and everything that came in during those years was recorded as truth. If someone told you, "You're not smart," or "You're difficult," or "Money doesn't grow on trees," your subconscious didn't question it. It simply filed that belief away and started living as if it were true. Even now, decades later, those old lines are still running in the background, shaping your decisions, limiting your confidence, and keeping you in loops you can't explain. That's why people say, "I don't know why I always do this," or "Why do I always attract the same kind of partner?" or "Why do I freeze when I'm trying to grow?" These aren't personality flaws. They're subconscious patterns. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. Whatever you feed it repeatedly with emotion becomes its truth. That's why visualization, affirmation, repetition, and even childhood stories can have such a deep effect. They're planting seeds in the soil of the subconscious. This also means you have the power to change your programming, but not by arguing with your conscious mind. Real change happens when you communicate with the subconscious in its own language through images, repetition, emotion, and deep relaxed states. Most people try to fix their lives by working harder on the surface. They read more, set goals, push through, but they don't address the root. If your subconscious is holding on to a belief that you are unworthy, no amount of conscious effort will override that. It will feel like walking through water, always, struggling against invisible resistance. The moment you begin to understand this, something shifts. You realize your anxiety is not random. Your procrastination is not laziness. Your patterns are not failures. They are simply the subconscious mind repeating what it believes to be true. And the moment you begin to challenge those truths, to install new ones, and to guide your mind with intention instead of reaction, you step out of the fog and take hold of the wheel. This is the journey we're beginning. From the surface of awareness into the vast, deep sea of the subconscious. And the deeper we go, the more you'll begin to see why your life is the way it is. And more importantly, how to change it. This is just the beginning. Chapter 2. Childhood Programming. Where it all began. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your younger self. Not the version you show in old photos, but the real one. The one who was still learning what the world meant. The one who looked up to adults and believed everything they said. The one who didn't yet know how to filter, question, or reject ideas. That child still lives inside you. Not in memory, but in the blueprint of your subconscious. From the moment you were born, your brain began recording. Not with a camera, but with emotion, repetition, and intensity. Every sound, every look, every word, every touch. Your nervous system absorbed it all like soft clay. And those early years, especially from birth to around age 7, were the most important for subconscious development. During that stage of life, the brain operates in slower frequencies, specifically in theta and delta brainwaves. These are the same brainwave states that adults enter during deep meditation or sleep. In this state, the mind is like a sponge. Whatever is said around you, whatever emotional tone you feel, becomes part of your inner truth. So when a child hears, "You're too much," "Be quiet," "Stop crying," or "You'll never get it right," those words don't pass through logic. They go straight into belief. They don't question the adult's tone or think, "Maybe this person is stressed." They absorb it and conclude, "There must be something wrong with me." And it's not just the words. It's the energy. If love is withheld, the child learns they must earn love. If emotions are punished, the child learns to hide their truth. If survival feels uncertain, the child learns to stay small to feel safe. These lessons aren't chosen. They're inherited. And they get installed directly into the subconscious operating system. Think of it like a computer. The programs you run as an adult, your thoughts, reactions, relationships, and behaviors are the result of code written when you were too young to choose what was being typed. The most haunting part of all this is that we forget. We forget the moments that shaped us, but the subconscious remembers. That's why you might walk into a situation as an adult and suddenly feel afraid, angry, or rejected for no clear reason. Your subconscious is reacting to something it wants, associated with danger or pain, even if your logical mind has no memory of it. This is what people mean when they talk about inner child wounds. These are not childish ideas. They are deeply encoded programs that silently shape your self-worth, your ability to receive love, your comfort with success, and your boundaries with others. They are responsible for the voice in your head that says you're not enough or too much or stuck forever. So how do you know what's living in your subconscious from childhood? Start by looking at your emotional patterns. If you always feel anxious in relationships, your subconscious may equate closeness with danger. If you sabotage opportunities, it might believe you're not worthy of more. If you overgive and feel invisible, your subconscious may think love must be earned. These patterns didn't begin as personality traits. They were survival strategies. The child inside you made brilliant choices to stay safe, to belong, to feel loved. But what kept you safe, that may now be keeping you small. The good news is this: the subconscious is not fixed. It is adaptable. It learns by repetition and emotion, just like it did in childhood. This means you can go back, not to relive the pain, but to reprogram the meaning. You can give your inner child the love, safety, and validation they needed. You can begin to replace old beliefs with new truths. Healing the subconscious is not about blaming the past. It's about recognizing how it shaped you so you can step into who you truly are. Because beneath the programs, beneath the fear, beneath the coping mechanisms, there is a self that has always been whole. And that self is waiting to be remembered. As we move deeper into this journey, keep your heart open. Some truth may be uncomfortable. Some memories may surface. But everything that comes up is coming up to be seen, released, and rewritten. You are not broken. You are programmed. And programming can be changed. Let's keep going. Chapter 3. Emotional Echoes. How beliefs shape your reality. Every moment of your life is filtered through your beliefs. But most of those beliefs were not chosen. They were inherited, absorbed, and repeated until they became invisible. And that's what makes them so powerful. Beliefs are not just thoughts you think. They are the rules your subconscious uses to interpret reality. They are the hidden lenses over your eyes, coloring everything you see. You don't just experience life. You experience your beliefs about life. If someone believes they are not lovable, they will misinterpret even the kindest gestures. A compliment will feel like pity. A delay in response will feel like rejection. A deep connection will feel suspicious, as if it can't possibly be real. The belief creates the feeling, and the feeling reinforces the belief until it becomes a closed loop. The subconscious mind is always scanning for evidence to prove its beliefs correct. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it craves certainty. Certainty creates safety. If the subconscious believes people always leave, it will ignore every moment of loyalty and hyper-focus on one instance of withdrawal. It will feed that moment with emotional charge until it becomes the story you repeat again and again. This is how emotional echoes work. One small experience from the past creates a belief. That belief shapes how you interpret new events. And each new event becomes proof that the belief is true. Whether it actually is or not, it becomes your reality. Think of a child who hears, "Why can't you ever do anything right?" That child may grow up believing they are incapable. Even if they succeed later in life, the inner voice still whispers, "It was just luck." When they fail, the voice yells, "See, I told you." The emotional echo of that belief vibrates in every decision they make. Now multiply that by the dozens or even hundreds of beliefs we carry. Beliefs about success, about love, about worth, about safety, about what's possible. These beliefs shape our goals, our limits, our reactions, and even our identity. The most dangerous beliefs are the ones we never question. The ones that sound like facts. I'm not creative. I'll always be broke. No one really cares. I have to be perfect to be accepted. These aren't truths. They're thoughts dressed up as truths, repeated so often they become invisible, and the emotional body reacts to them as if they're real. That's why anxiety, shame, guilt, and fear often have no clear cause. They're triggered by beliefs beneath the surface. You're not overreacting. You're responding to the version of the world your subconscious believes is true. But here's the turning point. Beliefs are not permanent. They are just thoughts with roots. And just like a root system, they can be uncovered, examined, and gently pulled up. It begins by noticing, by becoming the observer. When a wave of emotion hits you, ask not just what happened, but what you believe that moment meant. What story did your subconscious attach to it? What rule did it follow? For example, if someone cancels plans and you immediately feel abandoned, the conscious mind might say, "No big deal." But the subconscious might be screaming, "See? You're not important." That belief is the one that needs your attention, not the cancellation itself. Reprogramming beliefs doesn't happen by force. It happens through awareness, repetition, and emotion. If a belief was formed through emotional repetition, it must be rewritten the same way. That's why affirmations, visualization, and inner healing practices are powerful, not because the words are magic, but because they speak the language your subconscious understands. When you begin to install new beliefs, "I am worthy," "I am supported," "It is safe to be seen," and pair them with emotional truth, the subconscious starts to adapt. Slowly at first, then faster, until the new story begins to feel more real than the old one. And when your beliefs change, everything changes. Not just your feelings, but your behavior, your boundaries, your confidence, your magnetism. You begin to live from a new frequency. And life responds to that. You stop chasing love and start attracting it. You stop fearing failure and start moving boldly. You stop surviving your past and start designing your future. This is not just mindset work. This is identity work. You are not just changing your thoughts. You are updating the operating system of your life. So as we continue, stay curious. When an emotion rises, don't push it away. Follow it to the belief underneath. Let it show you the rule it's been following. Because once you see the rule, you can rewrite it. And every time you do, you step closer to the version of you that has always been possible. The version who lives freely, thinks clearly, feels deeply, and walks through life without dragging the past behind them. Chapter 4. The Science, Brainwaves, Neuroplasticity, and Habit Loops. Beneath every thought, beneath every decision, your brain is conducting a silent electrical symphony. And within that symphony, a hidden rhythm is shaping who you are. These rhythms are known as brainwaves. They are electrical pulses generated by neurons communicating with each other. But they're not just background noise. Brainwaves define your state of consciousness. They determine whether you're focused, relaxed, dreaming, or deeply suggestible. There are 5 primary brainwave states: gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Each has a different frequency range, and each plays a unique role in how your mind works. Most people operate in beta during the day. This is the state of alert thinking, analyzing, solving, worrying, and surviving. It's the fast-paced wave of a busy, conscious mind. But the subconscious doesn't live in beta. The subconscious becomes more active when the brain slows down in alpha, theta, and delta. These slower waves are the doorway into the subconscious mind. Alpha is a calm, focused state. You slip into it during light meditation, creative activities, or moments of quiet flow. Theta is deeper. This is the dreamlike state between waking and sleeping. It's where hypnosis, deep meditation, and childhood absorption occur. Finally, delta is the slowest and deepest state, associated with deep sleep and regeneration. Why does this matter? Because to access and reprogram the subconscious, you must enter the states where it's open to suggestion. You cannot talk your way into the subconscious while stuck in beta, where doubt and resistance live. But when you relax, breathe, meditate, or visualize, your brainwaves shift and the gates begin to open. This is not just spiritual philosophy. It's science. And behind that science is a concept called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. For centuries, people believed that the brain was fixed, that personality was unchangeable, that old habits could never truly die. But now we know that the brain is fluid. It changes with experience, repetition, and focus. Every thought you repeat creates a neural pathway. Every behavior you perform strengthens it. Neurons that fire together, wire together. If you constantly think, "I'm not good enough," your brain will make that pathway strong and automatic. If you keep reacting with anger, your brain will prioritize that route. It's not personal. It's just what your brain thinks you want it to keep. But when you begin to think new thoughts, feel new emotions, and act in new ways, especially when repeated consistently, the brain starts building new connections. It starts dissolving old habits and creating new ones. This is how habit loops form. Every habit follows a pattern: cue, routine, reward. The cue is a trigger, a time of day, a feeling, an environment. The routine is the action, and the reward is the emotional payoff. For example, you feel stress, cue. You scroll social media, routine. You feel distracted or entertained, reward. Over time, the brain learns this loop and runs it automatically. Now consider this. Every belief system you carry also began as a habit loop. If your subconscious believes, "I'm not safe to speak up," it may run a loop every time you're in a group setting. Anxiety, cue. Silence, routine. Emotional safety, reward. Even if it limits you, the brain repeats it because it feels familiar and safe. To change a habit or a belief, you have to interrupt a loop. You must notice the cue, choose a new routine, and link it to a new emotional reward. At first, it will feel unnatural. The brain will resist. But with consistency and emotional reinforcement, new loops begin to form. New identities begin to emerge. This is how transformation becomes real. Not just in the mind, but in the body, in the nervous system, and in the wiring of the brain itself. The subconscious isn't mysterious anymore. It's measurable, and it responds to your choices, especially when those choices are made repeatedly in states of lowered resistance, in alpha, in theta, in stillness. That's why tools like meditation, visualization, hypnosis, and breathwork are so effective. They're not magic. They are scientifically supported gateways into the subconscious and the neuroplasticity that allows you to rebuild your inner world. You don't need to force your mind to change. You need to guide it into the right state. And once you do, you'll find that it's not stubborn or broken. It's adaptive. It just needs clear direction, repeated with patience and emotion. The truth is, the subconscious mind is not a mystery you have to fear. It's a powerful system waiting to be understood. And now that you've seen the science, the real work can begin. Chapter 5. The Inner Critic. Why you sabotage yourself without knowing it. There's a voice inside your head that doesn't speak with love. It judges you. It doubts you. It shamas you. It whispers you're not good enough, not ready, not capable. It's the voice that keeps you small, quiet, and afraid. This voice is not the enemy, but it has been mistaken for the truth. This voice is what many call the inner critic. And chances are, you've been listening to it for most of your life without even realizing where it came from. The inner critic is not your true self. It is a survival mechanism born from your earliest experiences. Its job is to protect you from rejection, failure, embarrassment, or pain. But it does so by limiting you, belittling you, and often stopping you before you even start. You may hear it when you try to do something new, when you step into a spotlight, when you set a big goal or speak your truth. Suddenly, that voice appears. Who do you think you are? You're going to mess this up. Everyone will laugh at you. Don't bother. It's already too late, Dot. It's relentless. Isn't it? But here's the truth most people never hear. That voice is not your intuition. It's a recording, an echo. The inner critic was shaped by the people and environments you grew up in. If you were constantly judged, corrected, dismissed, or made to feel like your feelings were too much or not enough, you internalized those messages. You made them part of your self-dialogue. It's a strange thing how the mind, in its effort to protect, can turn on itself. You see, the subconscious mind believes that the familiar is safe. So if you grew up being criticized, your subconscious may now criticize you before anyone else can. If you were ignored, it may convince you to stay quiet to avoid more pain. If you were punished for expressing yourself, it may now shame you for being visible. Self-sabotage is not weakness. It is protection. It is the subconscious saying, I remember what happened last time. Let's not go through that again. Even when there is no real threat. Even when you are ready. And that's the tragedy of the inner critic. It doesn't know you've grown. It still sees you as that child trying to survive. It doesn't know you're safe now. It doesn't know you're allowed to want more. So you sabotage yourself. You delay. You overthink. You start and stop. You quit when you're close. Not because you're lazy. Not because you don't care. But because a part of you, deep in the subconscious, believes that success, attention, or change might be dangerous. And as long as that belief lives unchecked, it will override logic, plans, motivation, and willpower. So, how do you quiet the inner critic? Not by silencing it violently, Not by pretending it isn't there, but by understanding it. Talk to it. Observe it. Question it. When it says, "You're not good enough," ask, "According to who?" When it says, "You always fail," ask, "Is that true every time?" When it says, "This will never work," ask, "What are you trying to protect me from?" You may be surprised by the answer. Often, that voice is a younger version of you, still afraid, still trying to keep you safe using the only methods. It knows shame, guilt, delay, doubt. And here's the twist. That part of you isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to help. The moment you begin listening with compassion, the inner critic begins to soften. When you stop making it the villain and instead treat it like a wounded protector, the war within you starts to end. You can begin to replace the voice with something kinder, something truer, something like, "I'm learning. I am safe now. I'm allowed to succeed. I can show up even if I feel afraid." Every time you speak to yourself in this way, your subconscious listens. It adapts. The inner critic doesn't disappear overnight, but it begins to lose its grip. It becomes just one voice in the room, no longer the only one. And as it quiets, something else rises. Your real voice. Your true self. The one that has been waiting beneath the noise. The one that knows how powerful you are. The one that believes in what you're becoming. Self-sabotage ends not when you force yourself to act, but when you make peace with the part of you that's been afraid to grow. When you show that part compassion, the fear begins to dissolve. And what's left is something stronger than motivation. Clarity, conviction, peace. So if you've struggled, if you've delayed, if you've felt stuck, know this. You're not broken. You've just been listening to a voice that wasn't yours. And now, you're learning to listen differently. Chapter 6. Repetition and Ritual. How the subconscious learns and relearns. The subconscious mind does not understand logic the way your conscious mind does. It does not respond to debate or persuasion. It speaks in a different language. The language of repetition and ritual. Every belief you hold, every automatic behavior you perform, every emotional reflex you've developed, they were all programmed through repetition. Not once, not twice, but over and over until they became effortless. Until they felt like truth. This is why the things you say to yourself repeatedly carry so much power. If you said to yourself, "I'm not good enough," 100 times, your subconscious accepted that phrase as a command. If you said, "I always mess things up," "I'll never be loved," or "I don't deserve success," then those ideas have taken root deep within your identity. Not because they are true, but because they were repeated enough to feel real. The subconscious mind doesn't evaluate whether a thought is helpful or harmful. It only evaluates frequency. What is repeated gets stored. What is stored becomes a pattern. And patterns, over time, become identity. Now here's the good news. This also means that anything that was learned can be unlearned. Any story you've told yourself can be rewritten. The same process that installed the problem can install the solution, but it must be intentional. Think of the subconscious like fertile soil. If you plant seeds of doubt and repeat them, they grow. If you plant seeds of self-worth and repeat them, they grow too. But you can't throw a seed in once and expect a forest. It takes ritual, repetition, emotional involvement. This is why daily practices matter. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You might sit down every morning, breathe deeply, and repeat to yourself, "I am enough. I am safe to be seen. I deserve peace. I create my future." To your conscious mind, it may feel silly at first, but to your subconscious, every repetition is a new instruction. And if you repeat it long enough, especially in relaxed or emotional states, it begins to take root. You're not just saying new words. You're installing a new operating system, and the key to installation is emotion. The subconscious responds to repetition, but it responds even more powerfully to emotionally charged repetition. That's why traumatic memories leave such deep marks. But it also means that when you pair new thoughts with real emotion, with gratitude, love, courage, or faith, they install faster, deeper, stronger. This is where ritual comes in. Ritual is repetition with intention. It's the difference between brushing your teeth automatically and doing it as an act of self-care. It's the difference between repeating affirmations dryly and saying them while looking into your eyes in the mirror, feeling their truth sink in. Simple rituals have changed lives. Waking up and journaling 3 things you're grateful for. Meditating every evening with one focused mantra. Visualizing your ideal life as if it's already happening. Breathing slowly while repeating your new identity in your mind. These are not just good habits. They are subconscious reprogramming in motion. And here's the secret most people miss. You don't need to feel different to start the ritual. You need to start the ritual to feel different. Your subconscious doesn't need you to believe it. Yet, it just needs you show up every day with presence, with repetition, with patience. Over time, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. The awkward becomes natural. The new thoughts stop sounding like lies and start sounding like home. And when that shift happens, you won't need to fight for motivation anymore. You won't need to argue with your doubts. Your subconscious will begin doing the work for you automatically, just like it used to sabotage you before. Only now, it will be sabotaging your fear, sabotaging your self-doubt, sabotaging your limitations, and pushing you forward toward the life you were always meant to live. Because in the end, repetition is how all great things are built. Muscle, mindset, mastery. It's not the loud moments that define us. It's the quiet, repeated choices, the small rituals done with big heart, the thoughts we keep thinking long after the excitement is gone. This is how you train the mind. This is how you reshape identity. This is how you create a life that reflects your deepest truth, not your deepest wound. So the question becomes simple. What will you repeat starting today? What story will you rehearse until it becomes your reality? Let's continue this journey. Chapter 7. Visualization and Imagination. Training the mind to believe the future is now. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, the wind brushing your face, the sun resting on your skin. Below you, a breathtaking view, a vision of the life you've always wanted. And now, imagine feeling like it's already yours. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's actually experienced. This truth is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever discover. It's called visualization, and it's how you begin to train your mind to believe that the future you desire is already real. Let's go deeper. When you imagine an experience in detail, what you see, what you hear, what you feel, your brain activates the same regions as if you were living it. If you visualize yourself confidently walking into a room, smiling, connecting, succeeding, your mind begins forming neural pathways for that behavior. The more often you repeat the mental scene, the stronger the pattern becomes. Eventually, your body begins to behave as if the imagined future is already familiar. This is more than positive thinking. It's mental rehearsal. And elite performers, athletes, leaders, and creatives have used it for decades. Olympic athletes visualize their routines down to the millisecond before stepping onto the track. Public speakers rehearse successful talks in their mind until their body responds with confidence. Entrepreneurs imagine the feeling of success until their decisions begin aligning with it automatically. Why does this work? Because your subconscious mind is not logical. It is experiential. It doesn't care if something has happened in the external world. It cares if it has been felt internally. So, if you can consistently generate the emotion of your desired future and rehearse the scene of it happening, your subconscious begins accepting it as truth. And once it accepts a new truth, it starts working behind the scenes to make that reality happen. You begin to notice opportunities. You begin to speak differently. You walk differently. You respond to challenges with new strength, because your identity is no longer tied to the past. The key is to feel it. Don't just see the image. Feel. The confidence, the gratitude, the excitement, the peace of already living that life. Emotion is the glue that binds visualization to the subconscious. Without it, the image is just a dream. With it, the image becomes a signal, a command dot. So, how do you do it? Start small. Pick one area of your life. Maybe health, confidence, love, or career. Now, close your eyes. Imagine it has already happened. You've already succeeded. You already are the person you want to become. Where are you? What are you doing? Whose bores? With you? How does it feel? Let it become vivid. Let it become real. And then, stay there. Soak in the emotion for a few minutes. Let your heart believe. Let your nervous system believe. Let your subconscious listen. Do this every day. Even 5 minutes in the morning. 5 minutes before sleep. And watch what begins to change. You may notice your behavior suddenly shift. You may start speaking up when you used to shrink back. You may take actions that align with your vision without even trying. Why? Because the subconscious is following the map you gave it. And that's what? Visualization is a map. It's a signal to your deeper mind that says, this is where we're going. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. The world may not see it yet, but you do. And once you do, your thoughts, decisions, and energy begin moving toward it day by day, moment by moment. Visualization is not fantasy. It's creative command. And when paired with belief, repetition, and action, it becomes a force stronger than fear. This is your power. To close your eyes and rehearse a future that pulls you forward. To imagine it until your subconscious begins to crave it. And to live as if it's already yours until it is. Every reality begins in the mind. What you see internally, you move toward externally. So ask yourself, what are you imagining? What movie are you playing in your mind? What feelings are you rehearsing? Because what you rehearse, you become. Let's move forward. Chapter 8. Triggers and Emotional Memory. How the past hijacks the present. Have you ever reacted in a way that surprised even yourself? Maybe someone said something innocent, but you felt anger rising like a wave. Maybe a certain smell or glance filled you with sadness you couldn't explain. Or maybe you've pushed someone away even though part of you longed for connection. These are not random emotional moments. These are triggers, and they are windows into the subconscious mind. A trigger is not just about what's happening in the moment. It's a doorway to a memory. A memory that may be buried so deep, you don't even consciously recall it. But your body remembers. Your nervous system remembers. Your subconscious remembers. Emotional memory is powerful. It doesn't store facts like your conscious mind does. It stores feelings. Moments that were emotionally intense, especially in childhood, are recorded in vivid, sticky detail. Not as stories, but as sensations. Fear, shame, rejection, abandonment, helplessness. And here's the twist. Your subconscious doesn't track time. So, when you're triggered, your mind doesn't say, "This is just a memory from when I was 6." It says, "This is happening now." The body reacts as if the old danger is real again. Your pulse quickens. Your voice tightens. Your thoughts spiral. And suddenly, You're no longer responding to the present. You're reliving the past. This is how the past hijacks the present. You may be 30 years old, but the scared 7-year-old inside you still takes over in moments of conflict. You may look calm on the outside, but the moment someone raises their voice, your system panics because it learned long ago that loud voices meant danger. You may crave love but shut down every time someone gets close because your subconscious remembers that vulnerability once led to heartbreak. This isn't weakness. It's wiring, and that wiring can be rewritten. But first, you must understand that the subconscious isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you. When a trigger shows up, it's not a flaw. It's a flashlight. It's the mind's way of saying, there's something here you haven't healed yet. You don't need to fight the trigger. You need to witness it. Pause in the moment. Breathe. Ask yourself gently, what am I really feeling right now? When have I felt this before? Whose voice does this emotion belong to? Often, you'll trace the trigger back to something much earlier. A forgotten moment where you felt powerless or unloved. And in that awareness, something beautiful begins to happen. You create space between the trigger and the reaction. You begin to respond instead of reflexively react. You become the adult in the room, even to your own inner child. Healing emotional memory is not about erasing the past. It's about teaching your subconscious that the past is over, that you're no longer the same person, that you now have choices, strength, and safety that didn't exist back then. This can be done through practices like inner child work, somatic therapy, journaling, guided meditation, or simply speaking to yourself with compassion in triggered moments. Instead of judging yourself for your reaction, you might say, I know why I feel this way. I understand. And I'm safe now. That small sentence can shift your entire nervous system because the subconscious is listening, always. And when it begins to believe that safety is real, that love is possible, that control is in your hands now, the triggers start to lose their power. Not because the memory is gone, but because it no longer owns you. This is the deep work, the quiet rewiring, the emotional healing that turns pain into wisdom and reactions into responses. You don't have to be held hostage by your past. You don't have to be defined by old wounds. You get to rewrite the emotional code that's been running your life from behind the scenes. It starts with noticing, then understanding, then choosing something new. And slowly, the past loosens its grip. You begin to walk through life not as a prisoner of memory, but as a creator of your future. Let's keep walking. Chapter 9. Identity and Self-Image. The deepest script of the subconscious. Who are you? Not your name, not your job, not your hobbies or roles. At the deepest level, when no one is watching, who do you believe yourself to be? This is your identity, and it is the most powerful script running in your subconscious mind. Your identity is like the operating system of your inner world. It determines what you think you deserve, what you chase, what you sabotage, and what you allow. Your identity sets the boundaries for what you believe is possible, and your life will rarely rise above those boundaries. If you identify as someone who's always struggling, then even when success knocks, you'll find a way to push it away. If you see yourself as broken or unworthy, you will attract relationships that mirror that back. If you define yourself as unlucky, you will subconsciously ignore opportunities and focus only on setbacks, not because any of that is objectively true, but because your subconscious wants to remain consistent with who you believe you are. The subconscious loves familiarity, and the most familiar thing in your life is your self-image. It doesn't care if that image is painful, it only cares that it's predictable. That's why change feels so uncomfortable. It threatens the identity your subconscious has memorized. So here's the breakthrough. If you want to change your life, You must first change the story of who you are. You cannot consistently act in ways that contradict your self-image. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll resist productivity. If you see yourself as unattractive, you'll avoid connection. If you see yourself as unworthy of love, you'll chase people who prove you right. The external world always bends to reflect the internal identity. But here's the good news. Identity is not fixed. It is not written in stone. It is written in repetition, in emotion, in self-talk, in the rituals of your daily life. You've been shaping your identity since childhood, whether you realized it or not. It was shaped by what others said about you, by what you internalized, by the labels you accepted. But you are not required to keep carrying those labels. You can create a new identity, not by pretending, but by rehearsing. When you speak new words to yourself like, I am disciplined, I am powerful, I am worthy of love, I am creative and focused, I am a leader, you are not lying. You are rewriting doubt at first. It feels false, but that's only because it's unfamiliar. Stick with it, and the unfamiliar becomes your new normal. Your brain needs evidence to believe something. But here's the trick. You can give it evidence through consistent action, no matter how small. Want to identify as a writer? Write every day, even a sentence. Want to see yourself as confident? Speak up once a day, even briefly. Want to become someone who prioritizes health? Walk for 10 minutes every morning. Small actions done consistently reshape your identity. And as your identity shifts, so does your behavior. You don't need to fight for motivation. You begin acting in alignment with your new image. And that creates momentum. The key is to stop asking, what do I need to do? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because when you focus on becoming, the doing takes care of itself. Identity isn't something you earn. It's something you practice over and over until your subconscious says, yes, this is who we are now. And from that place, you'll notice your world begin to reorganize. You'll say no to what you once tolerated. You'll say yes to things you once feared. You'll walk with a different energy. You'll speak with a different tone. You'll attract people, places, and opportunities that match your new frequency. Because identity is the magnet. It's the center. And when it changes, everything changes. So, who are you becoming? Not someday. Not when life gets easier. Right now, let's move into it together. Chapter 10. Sleep and the Subconscious. Why night is the most powerful time to reprogram your mind. When the world goes quiet and your eyes begin to close, something remarkable begins to happen. Your conscious mind, the voice that narrates your day, starts to relax. And beneath the surface, your subconscious mind awakens into a state of deep openness. This is why the moments before sleep are some of the most powerful for transformation. You see, during the day, your brain operates mostly in beta waves, alert, analytical, logical. But as you wind down at night, your brain gradually shifts through alpha into theta, and finally delta during deep sleep. It's during those alpha and theta states, the twilight zone between wakefulness and sleep, that your subconscious becomes highly suggestible. What you think about, hear, and feel in those final moments before sleep doesn't just fade away. It sinks in. It plants itself. And it grows while you dream. This is why worrying before bed can feel so heavy. It's also why people who fall asleep to negative news or social media often wake up feeling anxious. The subconscious was wide open, and it absorbed whatever it encountered. But this is not just a warning. It's an invitation, because if the subconscious is listening as you fall asleep, you can speak directly to it. You can feed it new beliefs, new emotions, new images. And as you sleep, your mind begins to rewire itself, quietly, effortlessly. In the background, this is not theory. It's how affirmation tapes, sleep hypnosis, and guided meditations work. They bypass the critical filter of the conscious mind and plant seeds in the fertile soil of the subconscious. And you don't have to use technology. You can create your own nighttime ritual, one that programs your mind for confidence, healing, clarity, or abundance. Before bed, ask yourself, what do I want to believe about myself? What do I want to feel tomorrow? What kind of person am I becoming? Then speak those truths, softly, intentionally, as if they're already real. For example, I am calm and in control. I am attracting opportunities that align with my purpose. My body is healing. My mind is clear. My future is bright. I am safe, I am enough, and I am guided. Feel the truth in those words. Let them wash over you. You don't have to convince your conscious mind. You only need to feel it long enough for your subconscious to accept it. And then, as you drift into sleep, those affirmations echo in the silence of your inner world. Your brain processes them. Without resistance, your nervous system begins to believe them. And when you wake, you may notice subtle shifts. Your mood feels lighter. Your focus sharper. Your decisions more aligned with your deeper self. Reprogramming the subconscious doesn't always require effort. Sometimes, it just requires intention and stillness. And there's no better time than the moments before sleep. Even your dreams. Begin to reflect your new identity. Science shows that sleep isn't just a break from life. It's a time when the brain consolidates memories, sorts emotions, and integrates experiences. And if you give your mind new material to work with, new thoughts, new feelings, new beliefs, it will shape them into your next day reality. So tonight, instead of scrolling mindlessly or worrying about tomorrow, pause, breathe, speak to your subconscious with clarity and kindness. Let it know where you're headed. Let it know who you are becoming. And trust that as you sleep, something deep within is listening and adjusting your path accordingly. Reprogramming doesn't require control. It requires consistency. And the night is your greatest ally. Sleep is not escape. Sleep is activation. You are not just dreaming. You are evolving, one night at a time. Chapter 11. Breaking Cycles. How the subconscious repeats trauma, patterns, and lessons until you wake up. Have you ever asked yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always attract the same kind of people? Why do I end up in the same struggles, no matter how hard I try to change? You're not alone. This is one of the clearest signs that your subconscious mind is running the show. The subconscious is a pattern-making machine. It stores your emotional experiences, beliefs, memories, and behaviors as blueprints. And unless those blueprints are changed, it will keep building the same structures over and over again, even if they no longer serve you. These patterns are often invisible until they hurt enough to be noticed. You may repeat the same type of relationship, always ending in abandonment or betrayal. You may keep finding yourself in jobs where you feel unseen, undervalued, or trapped. You may always end up sabotaging your progress the moment things start to go well. This isn't bad luck or weakness. It's programming. You're reliving the past because your subconscious hasn't yet been shown another way. Especially when trauma is involved, the subconscious attaches deeply to what's familiar. If chaos was your normal in childhood, your mind will unconsciously seek chaos in adulthood. If love came with pain, your nervous system may now associate pain with love. If you had to prove your worth to be accepted, you may now attract people who constantly make you feel unworthy and call it fate. But the truth is, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it destiny. That quote comes from Carl Jung, and it's one of the most important truths in psychology. Your subconscious doesn't repeat patterns to punish you. It does it because it thinks this is what keeps you safe. It says, this is what we know. This is what we've survived. This is what love looks like. This is who we are. And so it recreates situations, people, feelings, anything that matches the internal blueprint. The cycle keeps spinning. But here's the good news. Cycles can be broken. Patterns can be rewritten. Trauma can be healed. The first step is always awareness. Start noticing the recurring themes in your life. What situations keep repeating? What roles do you always end up playing? What emotional reactions feel automatic? Ask yourself not just, why is this happening? But what is this trying to teach me? What belief is this reflecting back to me? Sometimes, the same lesson will appear in different disguises until you finally understand what your subconscious has been trying to work through. A parent's neglect may echo in a boss's indifference. A childhood fear of being invisible may show up in every relationship where you feel ignored. An old belief of I'm not enough might appear in every failure that feels like proof. When you start to connect the dots, the cycle begins to weaken. Because the moment you shine conscious awareness on the pattern, the subconscious no longer gets to run it in the dark. The next step is interrupting the pattern. This can be uncomfortable. You'll need to make new choices that feel unnatural. You'll need to walk away when you're used to staying. You'll need to speak up when you're used to being silent. You'll need to believe in your worth, even when no one else validates it. And your nervous system may fight back. Not because you're doing the wrong thing, but because you're doing something new. Healing is not just about feeling better. It's about becoming someone who no longer feels the pull of what once broke them. You rewire your subconscious every time you act differently than your past self would have. Every time you pause before reacting. Every time you comfort yourself in a triggered moment. Every time you stop chasing people who cannot love you. Every time you say, I deserve better, and then prove it through your actions. Over time, the pull of the old pattern weakens. The cycle loses momentum. The lessons integrate. And you begin to move forward, not from habit, but from intention. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are simply running a program, and that program can be changed. Your subconscious may repeat the past, but your conscious mind gets to choose the future. So pause, reflect, observe, notice the loops, interrupt them. Chapter 12. How belief systems are installed in the subconscious and how to change them. What if everything you believe about life, about success, about love, about yourself, wasn't actually chosen by you? What if your core beliefs were not facts, but programs, not truths, but inherited ideas? This is exactly how most belief systems are installed, quietly, invisibly, without your permission. From the moment you are born, your subconscious mind is like a sponge. It absorbs everything from your environment. It watches, it listens, it records, and it takes in messages with no filter. You're too young to question, too young to reject. So everything you hear becomes truth. If your parents struggled with money and said things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, you likely form beliefs like, money is hard to get. I don't deserve wealth. Success is dangerous. If you were constantly compared to others, you might have internalized, I'm not good enough. Love is conditional. I have to earn approval. If you experienced abandonment, your subconscious may have written, people leave. I can't trust anyone. I must stay silent to stay safe. These beliefs aren't facts. They're interpretations. They're emotional conclusions drawn by a child's mind trying to make sense of pain or confusion. But once installed, they become the operating system. And every thought, decision, and habit you create is filtered through that system. The scariest part? You're usually not aware of these beliefs. They live beneath your conscious awareness. but their effects are visible everywhere, in your relationships, your finances, your self-worth, your ability to dream. Here's the truth. Your beliefs shape your perception of reality. They tell you what to notice and what to ignore. They act like lenses, and you only see what the lens allows. If you believe you're not lovable, even kindness will feel suspicious. If you believe life is a struggle, ease will feel boring. If you believe you're destined to fail, you'll overlook every success as luck or mistake. So how do you change a belief? The first step is to identify it. Ask yourself, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about love? What do I believe about my worth? What do I believe about success, failure, happiness, health? Write the answers down. Don't censor them. Let them surface. Now ask, where did this belief come from? Is it actually mine, or did I inherit it from someone else's fear, limitation, or trauma? Often, we carry beliefs that belong to our parents, teachers, culture, or peers. We never question them. But now, we must. Because you cannot change what you will not confront. Once you've identified a limiting belief, you can begin to challenge it. For example, if your belief is, I always mess things up, ask, is that absolutely true? Has there ever been a time I succeeded, even in something small? You'll begin to find cracks in the wall. Because no belief is absolute. They are not laws of nature. They are conclusions. And conclusions can be revised. Now, to replace a belief, repetition is key. The subconscious learns through emotion and repetition. You must feed it a new idea, not once, but over and over, until it becomes familiar. This is where affirmations, visualization, and emotional rehearsal come in. But you can't just say the words. You must feel them. Saying, I'm worthy, is powerful. But saying it while standing tall, breathing deeply, imagining success, and recalling moments of value, that's when it sinks in. The more emotion you attach to a new belief, the faster it installs. And remember, beliefs are strengthened through action. If you want to believe you're courageous, take small, brave steps. If you want to believe you're disciplined, keep promises to yourself. If you want to believe you deserve love, treat yourself with kindness and stop tolerating those who don single quotes to. Every choice is a vote for a new belief. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not your past beliefs. You are the author of your mind, and you can edit the script. It takes awareness. It takes repetition. It takes courage to stop living by someone else's program and start writing your own. But once you do, the world begins to look different. Not because the world changed, but because the lens did. You don't just attract new results. You attract a new reality. One that matches the new beliefs you have chosen to believe. And this is your power. Chapter 13. The subconscious and emotional triggers. Why you react without thinking. Have you ever exploded in anger, shut down in fear, or burst into tears, and later wondered, why did I react like that? You knew it wasn't logical. You knew it was too much, too fast, too intense. But in that moment, it felt automatic, like your body took over. That's because it did. Emotional triggers are not signs of weakness. They are subconscious alarm bells tied to past experiences and unresolved emotions. When triggered, the subconscious activates old programming in a split second. Without asking for permission, think of your subconscious like a massive emotional database. Every painful experience, every moment of fear, shame, abandonment, or rejection is stored in that database, not just as a memory, but as a full-body emotional imprint. When something in the present resembles that old emotional wound, even slightly, your subconscious responds as if the past is happening again. That's why a small comment can feel like a personal attack. Why being ignored in a group can feel like being abandoned all over again. Why someone raising their voice can feel like a threat, even when it isn't. It's not the event. It's what the event activates. These reactions are often rooted in childhood, when you didn't have the tools or power to process emotions properly. So instead of releasing the emotion, your subconscious held onto it as a way to protect you. It decided, we must never feel this again. So let's react quickly if it ever shows up. And now, as an adult, that defense still lives inside you, firing at the smallest perceived danger. But here's the truth. Triggers are not enemies. They are invitations. They point to something unhealed, something buried, something that needs attention, not shame. Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? When you're triggered, ask, what part of me is still hurting? What memory does this feeling remind me of? What story is my subconscious replaying right now? By getting curious instead of judgmental, you begin to unravel the thread. You move from reacting blindly to responding consciously, and that shift changes everything. You begin to pause, to breathe, to witness the emotion without becoming it, to feel the wave and let it pass instead of drowning in it. This takes practice. It takes emotional awareness. But each time you pause before reacting, you're rewiring your brain. You're training your subconscious to see that the danger is no longer real. You're building a new response, one rooted in safety, presence, and choice. And yes, this process can be uncomfortable because the subconscious wants to protect you by staying in the familiar. It will fight to hold on to old reactions, even if they hurt you, because they feel known. But freedom doesn't come from comfort. It comes from healing what's underneath the trigger. Sometimes this healing requires inner child work, reconnecting with the part of you that first felt the pain. Sometimes it involves therapy, journaling, meditation, or breath work, anything that helps you feel and release the stored energy. The goal is not to never be triggered. The goal is to become aware of your triggers and not let them control your life. Because when you know why you react the way you do, you no longer feel broken. You feel powerful. You feel compassionate toward yourself. You feel in control of your choices again. Your subconscious may be filled with old stories, but they don't have to write your future. You are not the reaction. You are the awareness behind the reaction. And with that awareness, you can heal. You can soften. You can respond with clarity, not chaos. And each time you do, your subconscious learns something new. That it's safe to feel. That it's safe to change. That you are in charge now. This is how you become emotionally free, one trigger at a time. Chapter 14. Visualization and Mental Rehearsal. The language your subconscious understands best. What if I told you that your brain doesn't fully know the difference between imagination and reality? That when you vividly visualize something, your body and subconscious respond as if it's truly happening? This is not fantasy. It's neuroscience. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It's a powerful reprogramming tool for the subconscious mind. Because while your conscious mind thinks in words and logic, your subconscious thinks in images, emotions, and repetition. And that's exactly what visualization provides. Athletes have used it for decades. Before they step onto the field, they see themselves scoring, winning, thriving over and over. Why? Because the subconscious mind rehearses every image. And the more you mentally practice success, the more natural it becomes to act like a success. Here's how it works. When you visualize something with intensity, emotion, and sensory detail, you activate the same neural pathways in the brain as if you were physically doing it. Your brain begins to lay down the same memory traces as if the imagined experience were real. This is mental rehearsal. And your subconscious soaks it up. It doesn't care whether the experience happened or was imagined. It simply responds to the emotional intensity and repetition. So if you constantly visualize failure, embarrassment, rejection, or fear, your subconscious accepts those as instructions. It prepares your body and behavior to match them. That's called self-sabotage. Not because you're broken, but because you rehearsed the wrong future. Now imagine flipping that. What happens if you begin to visualize confidence, peace, love, abundance, and success? What if you start rehearsing your dreams like they're already happening? The answer is, your subconscious starts believing them. And when the subconscious believes, it gets to work creating that reality. Because the mind moves toward what it pictures. Your focus becomes your filter. Your imagination becomes your guide. This is why visualization is so powerful in healing, transformation, and goal setting. It helps you install a new blueprint. One that feels familiar, so your subconscious no longer fights it. Here's how to use it effectively. Choose one outcome to focus on. Whether it's healing, confidence, financial success, or a healthy relationship, pick one goal you want to embody. Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Shift into a relaxed state. The subconscious is more open when your brain is calm. Create a vivid mental movie. See the outcome already achieved. Where are you? What are you doing? Who's with you? What do you see, hear, smell, feel? Add emotion. This is the secret ingredient. Feel the pride, the joy, the peace, the gratitude. Emotion is the glue that helps the subconscious take the image seriously. Repeat daily. The more often you visualize, the more powerful the effect. Repetition rewires. Do this in the morning, before bed, or during meditation. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day can dramatically shift your inner programming. But there's one more key: alignment to action. You can't just visualize and wait. You must take steps in the direction of your vision. Every small action reinforces the belief. Every effort tells your subconscious, this is who I am now. And the gap between who you were and who you're becoming begins to close. Visualization is not a trick. It's a bridge between where you are and where you want to be, between the old story and the new one. When you use this tool regularly, you're not just dreaming, you're installing new code. You're practicing a new reality. And eventually, your external world begins to reflect your internal one. Because the subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to what feels real. Make your vision feel real, and it will become your reality. Chapter 15. Hypnosis, Meditation, and Brainwave States. Opening the door to the subconscious. Have you ever been so lost in a movie that you forgot you were even sitting in your own room? Or have you ever driven somewhere and suddenly realized you don't remember part of the road? That's not just distraction. It's a shift in your brain state. And in those moments, your subconscious becomes incredibly open. Your brain operates in different frequencies known as brainwaves. Each frequency creates a different level of consciousness. When you're thinking, solving problems, or planning your day, you're in a beta state, fully alert and conscious. But the deeper you relax, the slower your brainwaves become, and the more influence you gain over your subconscious mind. As your brain slows into alpha, you become calm and meditative. Go deeper into theta, and you're in a dreamlike state where time seems to fade. This is where your subconscious becomes especially receptive. In theta, the critical thinking part of your mind steps aside, allowing new ideas and beliefs to be accepted more easily. This is why practices like meditation and hypnosis are so powerful. They help you enter these deeper states where you're no longer filtering every thought with logic or doubt. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind. It's about slowing down and becoming aware of it. When you do this consistently, your brain naturally shifts into alpha and theta, where your subconscious is listening closely. Even just 10 minutes of meditation a day can make a huge difference. It brings your awareness inward and quiets the noise. And in that stillness, your subconscious opens. This is the perfect time to use affirmations, visualizations, or intentions. Your mind is fertile, and it absorbs what you plant. Hypnosis works in a similar way, guiding you into a deep theta state through relaxation and focus. Contrary to the myths, hypnosis doesn't control you. It frees you. It allows your conscious guard to relax so your subconscious can be reprogrammed safely and naturally. Under hypnosis, your mind becomes like soft clay, ready to shape. This is why hypnotherapy is so effective for changing habits, healing anxiety, building confidence, and overcoming deep-rooted fears. It speaks directly to the part of your mind that actually runs your life. You already experience light hypnosis every day. Right before you fall asleep and just before you wake up, you pass through natural, trance-like states. These moments are golden. Your subconscious is wide open during these brief windows. That's why it's so important to be mindful of what you feed your mind before sleep. If your last thoughts are stressful, fearful, or negative, your subconscious absorbs that energy. But if you end your day with calming thoughts, affirmations, or a peaceful visualization, your subconscious continues to work with that input all night long. Your subconscious doesn't sleep. It processes, adjusts, and rewires while your body rests. So feed it what you want to grow. Imagine going to bed every night listening to thoughts of abundance, self-worth, healing, or peace. Over time, your inner world shifts, and your outer world follows. You don't have to fight your old programming. You only need to quiet the surface noise and speak to the deeper part of you that's always been listening. Meditation helps. You open the door. Hypnosis helps you walk through it. And with daily practice, your subconscious mind becomes your most powerful ally. The most important changes often happen in stillness, not force. You don't need to push harder. You just need to go deeper, to the place where your real power has always lived. That place is your subconscious. Chapter 16. The Power of the First 7 Years. Childhood and the Formation of the Subconscious Blueprint. From the moment you're born, your subconscious mind is wide open. You don't think in logic, you don't analyze, and you don't question. You absorb, instantly, fully, without resistance. In your first 7 years, your brain is primarily in delta and theta brainwave states. That means you live in a dreamlike reality, highly impressionable and deeply tuned into your environment. Every voice, every emotion, every moment is taken in as truth. You're not learning facts. You're learning who you are, how safe the world feels, what love means, whether your voice matters. You form beliefs, not by thinking about them, but by experiencing them over and over. If a parent praised you often, you may grow up feeling worthy. If they ignored you, you may struggle with self-worth without even knowing why. These impressions become the blueprint of your subconscious mind. They shape how you see yourself, how you treat others, and what you expect from life. You don't remember much from those early years, and yet, those years remember you. Your reactions, your fears, your patterns today. Many of them were built when you couldn't even speak in full sentences. And that's why change can feel so hard. You're not just trying to change a habit. You're trying to rewrite something that was written before you had words for it. Imagine your subconscious as a sponge during those years. It soaks in everything: family dynamics, cultural norms, emotional responses, and language patterns. You begin to internalize messages like, I have to be perfect to be loved. Money is always hard to get. People can't be trusted. Even if no one ever said those words out loud, the feeling behind them gets stored. This is why children from the same household can grow up so differently. One may internalize strength, another may internalize fear, depending on what they felt, heard, and interpreted. It's not always about what happened. It's about how your subconscious perceived it. Between birth and age 7, the subconscious collects thousands of emotional references. It doesn't evaluate them. It stores them. And once that programming is in place, it begins to run the show behind the scenes. You grow up thinking you're just being realistic or shy or bad with money, when in truth, you're acting out a script you didn't write. And until you bring that script into the light, it continues to replay itself automatically. The good news? You're not stuck with it. The subconscious is powerful, but it's also programmable. Just because those first 7 years laid the foundation doesn't mean you can't rebuild the house. But first, you have to become aware. Awareness is the first tool of change. Begin to notice your automatic reactions. Pay attention to what triggers you emotionally. Ask yourself, where did I learn this response? Whose voice is this in my head? What belief am I carrying that might not even be mine? The more you trace your patterns back to their roots, the more power you gain. Because once you see the original source, you can question it. You can choose again. You can install new beliefs that serve the person you are today. Even if your early years were filled with pain, neglect, or confusion, your mind remains adaptable. You are not broken. You were programmed, and programming can be rewritten. In later chapters, we'll go deeper into how to reprogram limiting beliefs. But for now, just know this. Your childhood shaped your subconscious, but your awareness now can shape your future. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you choose to believe now. And the moment you begin to change the script, your subconscious starts writing a new story. Chapter 17. Trauma and Emotional Memory. How pain becomes subconscious programming. Every emotion you feel leaves a trace, but not all emotions are equal in how deeply they impact you. The ones that carry intense emotional charge, especially pain, fear, shame, or helplessness, get embedded deep into the subconscious. This is where trauma begins to shape the architecture of the mind. And trauma isn't just the big, obvious events. It can also be small, repeated moments of emotional neglect, rejection, or confusion. Anything that overwhelms your ability to cope becomes a kind of emotional imprint. When your system feels unsafe and there's no resolution, your subconscious steps in to protect you. It creates patterns, avoidance, fear, hypervigilance, not because it's broken, but because it wants to keep you safe. These patterns aren't logical. They're emotional reactions hardwired into the nervous system. You might not even remember the original event, but your body does. Your subconscious holds onto that memory, not as a clear story, but as a felt experience. You walk into a room and suddenly feel anxious. You meet someone new and immediately don't trust them. You freeze when asked to speak up. These reactions are often echoes of unresolved emotional memories stored deep below awareness. The subconscious doesn't care if the threat is gone. It only cares about protecting you based on past experience. So it keeps scanning the world, looking for anything that resembles the original pain, and then it reacts. That's why healing trauma isn't just about understanding it. You can't logic your way out of a subconscious fear. You have to feel it, witness it, and slowly teach your mind and body a new response. The subconscious stores trauma in symbols, sensations, and emotional charges. That's why traditional talk therapy sometimes hits a wall, because the pain isn't in the words. It's in the body. It's in the breath. It's in the part of you that flinches, tightens, or shuts down. To reprogram these patterns, you have to go where the trauma lives. In the silence, in the memory, in the sensations. This is why methods like inner child work, somatic therapy, EMDR, guided meditation, and breath work can be so effective. They help you access the stored emotional data, bring it to the surface, and reprocess it in a safe, supported way. You don't need to relive every painful moment, but you do need to acknowledge that your reactions didn't come from nowhere. They came from a younger version of you doing the best they could with what they had. And that version of you still lives in your subconscious, still carrying the burden, still waiting to be seen, heard, and released. Healing doesn't mean erasing your past. It means rewriting the way your subconscious relates to it. It means giving yourself new experiences of safety, love, and self-trust, over and over, until your nervous system learns that the danger has passed. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It is your protector. And when you begin to work with it, not against it, everything changes. You become less reactive, more open, more present, because you are no longer living from old wounds. You are living from new awareness. And that is where true freedom begins. Chapter 18. The Subconscious and the Body. How Beliefs Create Physical Reality. Your body doesn't just respond to the world around you. It responds to the world within you. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the beliefs you hold. They all speak to your body in a language it understands perfectly. The subconscious mind doesn't only influence how you think or behave. It influences your biology. It helps regulate your immune system, your hormones, your nervous system, and even how your cells heal and regenerate. Every belief you hold creates a physiological response. If you deeply believe the world is dangerous, your body prepares for survival. Your muscles stay tense. Your breath becomes shallow. Your digestion slows. Cortisol rises. Adrenaline spikes. And your body lives in a constant state of fight or flight. But if you believe you're safe, worthy, and supported, your body shifts into healing mode. It relaxes. It digests. It restores. This is called the parasympathetic state, the state where your body recovers, repairs, and returns to balance. The subconscious controls this switch, and your beliefs are the trigger. That's why two people can have the same physical condition, but experience it very differently. One may feel stuck and helpless. The other may feel calm, hopeful, and supported. And this inner emotional posture can drastically affect the body's ability to recover. There's a growing field of science called psychoneuroimmunology, the study of how the mind affects the immune system. It shows that stress, negative beliefs, and repressed emotions weaken the body, while positive emotions, gratitude, forgiveness, and belief in healing actually strengthen it. It doesn't mean that every illness is your fault. It means your mind and body are in constant communication, and the subconscious plays a major role. In this conversation, sometimes physical symptoms are the body's way of expressing a belief or emotion that hasn't been processed. Back pain might hold suppressed anger. Digestive issues might reflect anxiety or feeling unsafe. Chronic fatigue might mask deep emotional exhaustion. Of course, not all pain is emotional. But when no medical cause is found, or when treatment doesn't work, it's worth asking what the subconscious might be holding. This is why some people find relief through body-based therapies like somatic experiencing, breath work, or energy healing. These approaches bypass the thinking mind and speak directly to the subconscious. Through sensation, movement, and presence, the body holds memory. The way you walk, breathe, and hold tension often mirrors old emotional patterns. But just as the body remembers pain, it can also remember safety. You can train your body to feel safe again. One of the most powerful tools for this is mindful awareness. Noticing where your body tenses up, breathing into those areas, asking what belief might be living there, then offering yourself a new message. A message of safety, forgiveness, or release. Your subconscious doesn't just live in your head. It lives in your spine, your gut, your posture, your heartbeat. And the more you work with the body, the more deeply you can access and transform what's been stored there. Healing is not just mental. It's physical. It's cellular. It's whole. Your body is not against you. It's talking to you in the only language it knows. And when you begin to listen with compassion, your body and mind begin to align. The result? You stop fighting symptoms and start understanding them. You stop just treating the surface and begin healing at the root. Chapter 19. The language of the subconscious, symbols, metaphors, and imagination. The subconscious mind doesn't speak in words. It speaks in symbols. It speaks in metaphors, images, emotions, and sensations. It speaks in dreams. And once you learn its language, you gain access to an entirely new level of understanding. When you talk to your conscious mind, you use logic. You use facts, reasons, step-by-step explanations. But when you talk to your subconscious, logic doesn't always work. The subconscious responds to feeling. It responds to story. It responds to emotional truth. This is why metaphors are so powerful. A single image can carry more meaning than 1,000 words. If you imagine climbing a mountain, your subconscious understands struggle, persistence, elevation, and reward, all at once. If you tell your subconscious you're stuck in a cage, it takes that literally. It adjusts your emotions and reactions to match that story. But if you shift the story, if you say you're breaking free, it starts to create that feeling as your new reality. Symbols are the subconscious mind's core vocabulary. Your dreams are filled with them. Water may represent emotions. Flying might symbolize freedom. Being chased might reflect anxiety or something you're avoiding in real life. This symbolic language is deeply personal. A rose might mean love to one person and loss to another. A dark tunnel might feel terrifying to one and peaceful to someone else. Your subconscious creates meaning based on your own history and emotional associations. That's why visualization is so effective. When you imagine something clearly and emotionally, your subconscious doesn't always know it's not real. It responds as if it's happening now. If you visualize confidence, your body begins to shift. If you picture abundance, your emotions rise to meet that image. You are not just imagining. You are programming. That's also why movies, books, and art affect us so deeply. They bypass logic and speak straight to the emotional core. They activate symbols and awaken feelings stored deep within the subconscious. Storytelling is one of the oldest tools for shaping the subconscious. Every myth, every fable, every bedtime story was more than entertainment. It was a vehicle for teaching values, shaping beliefs, and guiding emotional understanding. Your imagination is the bridge between your conscious and subconscious mind. It's the only place where logic and feeling, structure and flow, thought, and emotion come together. So if you want to reprogram your subconscious, speak its language. Use imagery. Use metaphor. Use story. Don't just say, I want to be confident. Close your eyes and imagine standing tall, speaking with ease, feeling your body strong and grounded. That picture speaks louder than any sentence, even affirmations. Become more powerful when you add imagery. Don't just say, I am safe. Picture a place where you truly feel safe. Feel it. See the colors. Hear the sounds. Now you're speaking the subconscious language. Your subconscious is always listening, but it listens best when you speak in pictures and feelings. Not just ideas, but experiences. When you daydream, visualize, imagine, or meditate, you are entering the subconscious world. And every time you do, you're creating new patterns, new meanings, and new emotional truths. This is not just self-help. This is brain rewiring. This is emotional engineering, and it's available to you right now. Close your eyes. Picture the life you want, not in vague hopes, but in clear, vivid symbols. Because when your subconscious sees it, it starts building it. Chapter 20. Reprogramming the subconscious daily practices that actually work. You've learned how powerful the subconscious mind is. You've seen how it holds your beliefs, your patterns, your fears, and your potential. But knowledge isn't enough. The real shift happens when you start doing the work consistently, gently, and daily. Reprogramming the subconscious is not a one-time event. It's a practice. And like any practice, it grows stronger the more you return to it. The first key is repetition. The subconscious learns through patterns. The more often it hears or experiences something, the more it accepts it as truth. This is why negative self-talk can be so damaging, and why repeated positive reinforcement can rewire old beliefs. Start with affirmations, but make them emotional. Don't just say, "I am enough," with a blank face. Say it while breathing deeply, placing a hand on your heart, and remembering moments when you felt worthy. Feel the words. Mean them. That's when the subconscious listens. Another powerful tool is visualization. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each morning imagining your ideal day. Picture yourself calm, confident, focused, joyful. Make it vivid. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? You're not just daydreaming. You're training your subconscious. To expect a new reality, meditation is another game changer. It helps quiet the noise of the conscious mind so you can reach the deeper layers beneath. Even a few minutes a day can help shift your mental state from stress to openness. In meditation, you can plant new thoughts like seeds. I am safe. I release the past. I trust myself. Over time, these seeds take root in your subconscious. Journaling also helps bring subconscious patterns to light. Write down your thoughts without judgment. Ask questions like, what do I believe about money, love, success, or myself? Then go deeper. Where did I learn this? Is it true? Do I still want to believe it? Awareness is the first tool of transformation. Gratitude is another daily practice with deep subconscious impact. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, big or small. This shifts your internal focus from lack to abundance. And slowly, your subconscious starts expecting good things. You can also reprogram through your body. Try walking or moving while repeating affirmations. Or dance to music that lifts your energy. Your subconscious responds to physical signals, so movement matters. One of the most powerful times to reprogram your subconscious is just before sleep. As your brainwaves slow down, the subconscious becomes more open. Use this window. Listen to a guided affirmation or visualization audio as you fall asleep. Let your final thoughts of the day be healing, supportive, and empowering. Remember, you're not trying to force change. You're guiding it. Be gentle. Be patient. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working. But your subconscious is always listening, even when you don't feel it. Every small action matters. Every new thought repeated with feeling is a message sent to your deepest self. And eventually, those messages add up. They become your new normal, your new belief system, your new life. You don't need to fix yourself. You just need to remind yourself of who you truly are, over and over, until you believe it again. Chapter 21. The Subconscious and Relationships. Why we attract certain people. Relationships are mirrors. They reflect what lives inside us, especially what lives in the subconscious. The people you feel drawn to, the patterns you repeat, the dynamics you find yourself in. They often say more about your inner world than your outer circumstances. Your subconscious has a blueprint for connection. It's shaped by your earliest experiences with love, trust, attention, and safety. If you grew up feeling seen, valued, and protected, Your subconscious looks for those same qualities in others. But if you experienced abandonment, rejection, criticism, or chaos, your subconscious may seek familiarity instead of happiness. It doesn't mean you consciously want pain, but your subconscious is wired to repeat what it knows. Familiarity feels safe, even if it hurts. That's why people sometimes end up in the same kind of relationship over and over again, even when they try to choose differently. You may find yourself attracted to people who trigger your old wounds, not because you want to suffer, but because your subconscious is trying to resolve something unfinished. It wants closure, healing, a second chance to get it right. But this only works if there's awareness. Otherwise, you keep reliving the same emotional script with different faces. You stay stuck in cycles of need, fear, control, or self-sacrifice, thinking it's love. When you become conscious of these patterns, everything changes. You begin to ask, why do I feel drawn to this person? What does this dynamic remind me of from my past? Am I responding to who they are, or who they trigger me to become? Often, the most intense attractions are not about love. They're about recognition. Your subconscious sees a pattern it knows and pulls you toward it. That can lead to healing if both people are aware and willing to grow. But it can also lead to pain if the same old story just keeps repeating. True healing in relationships begins with the one you have with yourself. When you start treating yourself with the love, respect, and care you've always needed, your subconscious gets the message. I am worthy of something better now. And you stop chasing people who don't see your worth. You begin attracting different energies. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You've updated the internal blueprint. And now, your outer world follows that new design. The subconscious also affects how you show up in relationships. It influences how you communicate, how vulnerable you're willing to be, how much you trust, and how much you sabotage. Even the things you fear, like being too close or being left, come from early subconscious imprints. This is why inner work transforms relationships more than anything else. When you heal the source of the wound, you stop bleeding on people who didn't cause it. You stop needing someone else to complete you. You stop giving away your power to be chosen, loved, or saved. You become whole, and from that place, love becomes something beautiful, not something desperate. Relationships are not random. They're reflections. And once you see what your subconscious is reflecting, you can start choosing what you want to see next. Chapter 22. Breaking Generational Beliefs. Healing what was passed down. Some of the beliefs that shape your life didn't start with you. They were passed down from your parents, your grandparents, maybe even further back. You inherited more than genetics. You inherited emotional patterns, fears, rules, and invisible contracts that shaped your subconscious before you could speak. Families pass down stories about money, love, identity, success, survival. Sometimes in words, sometimes in silence, sometimes in the way you were treated, or the way emotions were avoided altogether. If your parents believed life was hard, that belief may have become your reality. If they believed emotions were weakness, you may have learned to shut yours down. If they feared failure, you may carry the same hesitation, even if you've never fully understood why. This is generational programming. Not as obvious as trauma, but just as powerful. It's not always toxic, but it's often unconscious. And what stays unconscious becomes automatic. You may find yourself repeating behaviors you swore you'd never repeat. You may react in ways that feel foreign, like they came from someone else's script. That's because part of them did. The good news is this: what was passed down can be broken. Not with blame, not with anger, but with awareness. You are allowed to question the beliefs you were handed. You are allowed to say, "This ends with me." The scarcity, the shame, the silence, The struggle, it doesn't have to continue. Breaking a generational pattern is brave work. It requires you to step into the unknown, to build a new belief where there was only fear, to create safety where there was only survival. You might be the first in your family to go to therapy, the first to speak about mental health, the first to set boundaries, the first to believe that love can be safe, or that money doesn't have to equal suffering, or that you don't have to earn your worth at first. It might feel like betrayal, but you're not betraying your family. You're freeing them, because when you heal, you change what gets passed on. You stop bleeding old pain into your relationships, your work, your parenting, your future. You become a bridge between what was and what can be. The subconscious holds on to generational beliefs until you examine them. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Who in my family lived this way? Is this belief helping me or hurting me? And most importantly, do I still want to carry it? You don't owe your pain to your lineage. You owe them healing. You owe yourself freedom. And you owe your future a new pattern. This work is not easy, but it is sacred. You are not just healing yourself. You are healing forward and backward. You're showing your ancestors what's possible and giving your children a new path to walk. A path made not of fear, but a choice. Chapter 23. Self-Sabotage. Why the subconscious blocks your progress. Have you ever set a goal, felt excited, took a few steps forward, and then suddenly stopped? Or maybe you found a breakthrough, only to sabotage it right after. This isn't just laziness. It's not weakness. It's your subconscious trying to protect you. Self-sabotage is not your enemy. It's a misunderstood defense system. The subconscious is not concerned with your dreams. It's concerned with your safety. And what's familiar feels safe, even if it's painful. If you've lived most of your life in struggle, your subconscious learns that struggle is normal. Success, then, feels risky. So when you begin to grow or improve, your inner alarms go off. Not because something's wrong, but because something's different. That's why self-sabotage often shows up right before a breakthrough. You ghost the opportunity. You miss the interview. You pick a fight. You procrastinate. You binge. It's the subconscious pulling you back into the comfort zone, not to punish you, but to protect you. But here's the twist. Your comfort zone isn't always comfortable. It's just known. And the subconscious prefers known pain over unknown possibility. Self-sabotage is a pattern with roots. Sometimes it comes from fear of failure. Sometimes from fear of success. Sometimes from guilt, unworthiness, or old trauma you haven't fully processed. For example, if you were shamed for standing out as a child, your subconscious may still believe being visible is dangerous. So when you finally get attention, you freeze or push it away. That's not a flaw. That's a wound trying to protect itself. The solution isn't to fight your subconscious. It's to work with it. To gently teach it that success is safe. That being happy doesn't mean you'll be abandoned. That growth doesn't have to equal rejection or danger. Start by noticing your patterns without judgment. What triggers your self-sabotage? What emotions come right before you quit or act out? When did you first feel that way? Ask yourself, what is my subconscious trying to protect me from right now? Then reframe the story. Remind yourself, out loud if needed, I'm not in danger. I'm just growing. I'm allowed to succeed. I can be seen and still be safe. Also, slow down the process. Sometimes self-sabotage happens because change feels too fast. Break big goals into tiny steps. Let your subconscious adjust at a pace that feels manageable. And most importantly, speak to yourself with kindness. Self-sabotage is not proof that you're broken. It's proof that a part of you is scared. And fear doesn't need punishment. It needs reassurance. You don't heal self-sabotage by force. You heal it by showing your subconscious, day after day, that it's okay to let go of the old and trust the new. Every time you show up for yourself, even a little, every time you keep going, even after falling back, you're retraining your mind. And over time, the protective patterns will soften, the blocks will loosen, and progress will start to feel like home. Chapter 24. Hypnosis and the Subconscious. Myths, Science, and Real Benefits. The word hypnosis often brings strange images to mind. Maybe you picture a swinging watch, someone clucking like a chicken, or a magician controlling people on stage. But hypnosis isn't about control. It's about access. Access to the deeper part of your mind that rarely gets quiet enough to listen. Hypnosis is a natural state. You enter it every day without even noticing. When you're completely absorbed in a movie, when you're driving and suddenly realize you don't remember the last 5 minutes. That's a light hypnotic state. It's simply a focused, relaxed awareness where your subconscious becomes more open. In that state, your brainwaves slow down. You shift from the active, thinking beta state into alpha and theta waves, which are linked to imagination, emotion, and deep learning. And in that space, the subconscious mind is more suggestible. Not suggestible as in manipulated, but suggestible as in open to new thoughts, beliefs, and patterns. This is why hypnosis can be a powerful tool for change. It bypasses the critical, doubting mind and speaks directly to the part of you that holds old stories, habits, and emotional responses. Through gentle suggestion and visualization, it introduces new ideas, ones that align with who you want to become. It's been used successfully to help people quit smoking, overcome fears, reduce chronic pain, build confidence, improve sleep, and even change eating habits. Not through force, through permission, through allowing the mind to absorb a new version of reality. The key is safety and trust. You can't be hypnotized against your will. You're not unconscious. You're deeply relaxed, but still aware. You can stop at any time. You're still in control. In fact, the most effective hypnosis happens when the person being guided wants to change, when they're open, ready, and curious. A good hypnotherapist doesn't take over your mind. They help you navigate it. They guide you into the places where old patterns live and help you rewrite them gently. You can also use self-hypnosis. There are countless recordings designed to help with specific issues. You simply close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the voice take you inward. And with repeated listening, the messages begin to take root. Of course, hypnosis isn't magic. It's not an instant fix, but it is one of the most direct ways to influence the subconscious. And when used with intention, it becomes a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. If you've been trying to change through willpower alone, hypnosis can help you go deeper. It can speak to the part of you that's been stuck, not because it's broken, but because it's been afraid. And when that part begins to feel safe, when it starts to trust a new way of being, that's when real, lasting transformation begins. Chapter 25. Subconscious Healing Through Inner Child Work. Inside, every adult is a child who once felt something deeply and didn't know what to do with it. A child who might have felt ignored, hurt, ashamed, abandoned, or misunderstood. And those moments, small or big, didn't disappear. They got stored in the subconscious, hidden behind personality, logic, and busy lives. Inner child work is not about living in the past. It's about meeting the parts of you that never got the love, safety, or validation they needed. Because those parts still exist, quietly shaping your reactions, fears, and desires. You might notice it when you get irrationally upset, or when you need approval to feel okay, or when you panic in relationships, or stay quiet when you want to speak up. That's often not the adult version of you reacting. That's the child within, still trying to get what they missed long ago. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means returning to it with compassion. Not to blame, but to care. To sit beside that younger self and finally say, I see you. I hear you. I'm here now. This work is deeply emotional, but it's also deeply freeing. When you connect with your inner child, you access the original source of many subconscious patterns. You begin to understand where your self-doubt came from, why you push people away, why you don't trust love, why success feels scary. It all starts to make sense, not to justify it, but to finally let it go. Inner child healing can be done in many ways. Through journaling, through meditation, through guided visualizations where you imagine meeting your younger self and comforting them. Even simple questions like, what did I need as a child but didn't get? How did my caregivers handle emotions? When did I first feel like I wasn't enough? The answers unlock so much. Because the moment you begin to give yourself what you always needed, safety, love, attention, patience, the subconscious shifts. You stop looking for someone else to fix you. You become your own protector. The subconscious mind is not fixed. It's flexible. It learns through repetition, emotion, and connection. When you bring healing into the inner world, your outer world starts to follow. And as you do this work, whether through reflection, hypnosis, or mindful awareness, you're not just healing yourself. You're healing your patterns. You're changing what gets passed on. You're breaking generational pain and building something new. This journey through the subconscious has taken you across the landscapes of belief, memory, identity, and emotion. We've explored what shapes you, what blocks you, and what frees you. You've learned that the subconscious is not your enemy. It's your oldest friend. It's been protecting you the only way it knew how, but now you know more. You've seen more. And you can teach your subconscious something new. That it's safe to grow. It's safe to shine. It's safe to heal. This is the beginning of a deeper relationship with yourself. One rooted in compassion, courage, and conscious transformation. If this journey moved you, take a deep breath and hold this truth. You are not stuck. You are learning. You are evolving. And your subconscious, once a silent guide, is ready to follow your lead. Thank you for staying with this journey. If this video helped you, consider subscribing so you don't walk this path alone. The deeper you go, the freer you become. And this is only the beginning.